Montgomery Charles Slingerland, Monty for short, 75. I'm born in St. Catharines.
So you've been around St. Catharines area and the Niagara Peninsula your whole life pretty well?
Well, my family's United Empire Loyalists to Niagara-On-The-Lake. They came up from the States, Albany area in 1783.
Wow, wow. So Monty, everybody comes to this game in different ways. How did you come to play lacrosse, I guess?
Yeah. Well, we had went to school in Niagara-On-the-Lake, of course. They called it Niagara District. Every time you refer to Niagara District before they amalgamated with the town of Niagara-on-the-Lake to make the greater Niagara-on-the-Lake of St. David's, Queenston, and Virgil. So I went to a school that was between St. David's and Virgil called Maple Leaf. And it was a 4-room school. And we had a teacher in grade 5 and 6 who came from Peterborough. And his name was Dave Quinlan. And he played lacrosse in Peterborough, of course. He grew up, lacrosse was a big hotbed of lacrosse there. And he wanted to introduce lacrosse to his class, or to the school. So he somehow secured, I'm not sure if it was through the board or whether he got a donation somehow for, I believe, at least 20 sticks, the St. Regis Chisholm sticks from Cornwall area, and for the school. So we played intramural, like just amongst ourselves at the school. So that was my introduction to lacrosse.
What year was that around?
That would be around 1960, 61, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got a stick in your hand, and when did you decide to maybe start to join a community, either a house league or something outside the school?
Well, Niagara District did not have lacrosse in the community. St. Catharines, of course, was a hotbed of lacrosse for many, many years. And I only sort of knew about it through reading the newspaper. I hadn't been to any games or anything. But once I felt, that I liked, playing it, it was natural for a number of us. Through adults, and there was a few people that were connected to lacrosse one way or the other in the town, or in the district, to secure some practice time and playing time and stuff like that. They had a hockey bowl, like a hockey thing with like 4 by 8 sheets of plywood, 4 feet high all the way around, but they flooded it with a dirt floor.
Yeah.
And they just flooded it in the winter. So we were able to use that to play lacrosse. Now, so in the beginning it was just pickup between our class and other people that sort of joined in, and we just play amongst ourselves, including the teachers. It was more like a Saturday, or Saturday or Sunday or both day. And then, if you wanted to go down there, we had nets and you could always shoot and all that, and hit it against the boards and all that kind of thing. So a friend of mine, Stan Ignatzik, who went on to play pro and everything, and grew up with me, but year older, but in the same grade. We used to go from our place between St. David's, it was about maybe 2.5 miles to Virgil, on his tractor. On his dad's tractor. I don't know if you've ever ridden on a tractor, but they have a big axle, and then they have steel fenders, so you hold on to the fenders. And I don't know where we put the stick, but the sticks. But anyway, somehow got there safely. But you never could do that today. So anyway, to play, lots of times that's the way. Parents weren't supportive of children at that time like they are today.
Right.
You found your own way, to get there if you wanted to do it. So that's, it started that way, and then from there, there was enough kids in a certain age group, which was this team here. It was the very first team that was a structured team from Niagara District.
Okay.
Yeah, that played out of Virgil, And of course, they had to play against Port Dalhousie, St. Catharines, and the Spartans. That was pretty well the league at that time.
Yeah.
And of course, we always completely lost, in the beginning. Like, I coached a team that was eventually, this team here was zero wins until we got to a tournament to be able to play some teams that were in our division, or secondary teams.
Yeah. Okay, you're progressing, and now there's a little bit of a community action, and tell us about you playing, I guess, within the community action and those years, I guess.
Of course, I would help out with this very first team. They were younger players. I think it was, they were a couple of years younger. So then through friends at school, friends from hockey, because I played hockey all through there, we got a lot of good athletes that played hockey that transferred to lacrosse, like as a secondary thing. It was a natural, and they loved it. We had ball. Ball was huge, softball in Niagara-On-The-Lake. Soccer wasn't as big at that time, but people really liked the lacrosse, and we were gradually picked up a lot of players that didn't pick up the game until they were 15, years old.
Yeah.
And a lot of them turned out to be excellent lacrosse players.
Yeah.
So, I was fortunate enough. This B championship in '63 was, of course, the second teams of St. Catharines and Spartans and Port Dalhousie. They were more like, they were the weakest, the weaker players of all.
Okay.
And we were able to win that in '63.
So it showed some progression anyways to get to, you started to be able to compete.
We got a little more competitive by that time.
Yeah. And you started to help out coaching early in your career, and obviously that played through most of your lacrosse career, being involved as a coach or a manager.
Correct.
Helping to build the game that way.
Yeah. Well, after I played midget, of course, I was actually made the juvenile. I went up to St. Catharines and tried out for the St. Catharines juvenile team.
Okay.
And Pete Conradi was the manager of the team.
Yeah.
And hold it up. And Jim Tryon was the coach. So anyway, we managed to, up in Huntsville, this says we won the championship.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
So for all of Ontario.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. Mm-hmm. So a question about Pete Conradi.
Yes.
I remember many years ago, didn't they have a gas station that was the unofficial museum of lacrosse?
It was.
What was that? Tell people what that was like.
Well, yes, it was in St. Catharines. Fred Conradi owned the gas station, and Pete Conradi was his son, of course. He was a mechanic, and Butch Conradi was also. However, so I believe Fred sponsored Junior A super tests for the Junior A. And so for quite a few years, and then there was some falling out. And what happened, because of these players in Niagara-on-the-Lake, and at that time Stan had played for the super test, Stan Ignacyk. He got good relations with Pete and Fred. And yes, they talked about lacrosse. It was the lacrosse place to go, and Fred had a friend. Was Fred friends of all the senior players and all that kind of thing? I don't think he ever played, but anyway, Pete was a good coach, and he talked to Stan and said, Stan said, well, there's a number of players down in Niagara-on-the-Lake that are junior age, and a lot of them were like I say, they picked up the stick. They weren't organized or anything. They didn't play in St. Catharines or anything like that. But Pete coached the heck out of them, and they got to get to the final, and unfortunately they lost against Cornwall for the All-Ontario Junior B. But they used to get crowds that were bigger than our crowds at times, which was like 1,400 people. Hague Bowl. And I played at Hague Bowl too, and of course Hague Bowl was stones in the beginning. And then they finally put asphalt or something, because they converted into also hockey. And so they put the things underneath. But Port Dalhousie, we had stones in the beginning. We had there was no face mask. You had a helmet, but no face mask. And I saw many teeth go onto the floor.
Many communities had built those outdoor bowls, and and it was really conducive in the summer when it was hot inside the arenas to playing outside an outdoor bowl brought people.
Perfect.
From cottages up in Huntsville, Peterborough.
Sure.
They all had their own bowls, and I know the one in St. Catharines was.
Well, Port Dalhousie too, where I played for the Junior A Lakesides, they were called, but that was outside at the Legion.
Yeah, very popular in the summer to be outdoors and just enjoy watching the game back
Great.
then.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, what did you play up to? Like what level, and age group and thing like that? Like what as a player?
Well, I went from juvenile that I played a couple of years there, of course, in that age group, and then I played Junior A, and that's where that was it for me. I was at that time I was working very, very early in the mornings, and those trips and this and that, and I wasn't having that much fun, and I was more interested in coaching. So I quit the lacrosse sort of completely for a year, and then I went back to coaching this Bantam team.
Yeah, what kind of things were you working at that stage of your life?
Well, I was starting my electrical apprenticeship, and which was I became an electrician, of course.
And that was your life's work?
That's correct.
Electrician?
Yeah,
Okay.
Industrial electrician. Yeah. And I started working in Toronto, and then worked in Hamilton, and then finally got back here.
So at some point, Niagara-on-the-Lake, you decided to really get things going there, right?
Well, just a little excerpt. When we first started lacrosse, of course, funds were an issue. Yeah. We didn't charge anybody for registration. We were just happy to get players to come out. And so I'm not sure if it was the Eagletons said, we could sell chocolate bars. Okay, so there was these huge chocolate bars. They came from Campbellford. I don't know if they were like Toblerone things, they were long things. And so we would drive, and I would be one of the drivers, and we would drive the kids, and the kids would go to the door. And in Niagara-on-the-Lake, there was a huge population of Mennonites, and Mennonite farms and stuff like that. So a lot of times, of course, the kids would go to the door, and they would go, would you like to buy a chocolate bar for lacrosse? And they go, Red Cross? And they go, yeah. And they go, oh yeah, we'll buy one. So we sold a lot of chocolate bars under the Red Cross for lacrosse.
Well, it was a good cause as well, right?
Yes, yeah.
And the Mennonite farmers helped support the game early on.
But getting back to, so then there was, and I actually helped recruit, Willie Plett and some of these. He was a very good hockey player, as you know, and played 10 years in the NHL, up through the ranks. But the thing was that there was some players, and there was a Junior A goalie from Niagara Falls who wanted to play. His name is Howie Vant, and he played Tier 2 Junior A, and he played on the team, on our big team. But he played also minor up. His father brought him down. He was interested in lacrosse. We had players from Tuscarora, and even in our minors, and it was continued. We had, because Tuscarora, we even played over in Tuscarora, and they had a similar type of bowl outside. Yeah. It was really rough, But anyway, this team, that first year Bantam, then we got recruited some players to make a better team, And they were first, they were all learning how to play lacrosse, a lot of them at that time. Some of them had, come up, like some of them had played on a team before, but most of them hadn't. So then as that team progressed, I progressed with the team. So from first year Bantam, second year Bantam, midget, first year midget, second year midget.
Yeah, so that was like 1970, 71 for those teams, those years, because you co-purchased the Junior B franchise?
Yes, with Stan Ignatzik.
Okay, and that was in 1972.
But that was junior.
Right. Okay.
So this team, many of the players, of course, we didn't have juvenile, and they were ready to play. Some of the team players were ready to play Junior B. They were capable. Even so the first year was 62 or 72.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, Pete Conradi had coached this team for I think 3 years or so, the Super Tests, and he wanted out. Okay, so Stan and I bought it was just the bond, $250. So we put the bond in.
Yeah.
And the first year the agreement was that Stan would coach the first year of 72.
Okay.
And we had a winning record, but a lot of these players that came up from midget were still the first year, but we still had some of the old players back from Pete's team. And then, but in 73, we had only 2 players, Norm Hope and Joji Ingeman. They were 21-year-olds. So that was the team that we were just fortunate enough to peak in that year.
Let's talk about that team.
Yes.
So you were a Junior B team, and you played out of Centennial Arena then, and the Ontario Games were going on in Oshawa that year, and did you surprise people by winning the Ontario Games? Was that
certainly did. First of all, to qualify after 10 games, we had six teams in our league.
Okay.
And so we had to play each team twice, so that was 10 games.
Okay.
So after 10 games, the first 2 teams were to qualify.
Okay.
And Hamilton beat us twice.
Okay.
We actually had a 5-5 record.
Huh?
On the 10th game to qualify, we had to win by something like 7 or 8 goals. We won by 20 goals or something, to qualify against Brantford.
Oh, Brantford.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so that was a big game.
It was at home, and we knew that to qualify, we had to win that game big, and we did. Yeah, huge.
The team rose to the occasion.
It did.
Yeah.
So of course that put us. We were in second place, and so for the Ontario Games, Whitby had. I think they only lost 1 game in their division, and Whitby and Ajax qualified. So the crossover is a second place team, in our league, the Western League, plays the first place team, Whitby. Well, Whitby, Jim Brady coached Whitby.
Yeah.
They had a really good team. We scouted them. We go, oh, we're going to be in trouble. Many of our players have never been in a hotel or a motel. They were a lot of farm boys there.
So you put this Junior B team together. You did really well in the Ontario Games. You were in Oshawa for that, and you had to play Whitby in a crossover. What happened in that game?
Oh boy, that was a game. So it actually went into sudden death overtime.
Wow.
And Mike French, what happened, it was a really unique. He tried to go through and got knocked down. And of course, Whitby was going down the other end. And I think the goalie, John Scooble, was fairly big, about 350 and 6'2". He was a poor thrower. And we always go, no, John, don't throw it. In Virgil, we had a very low, like the rafters. And the ball would always hit the rafters, that type of thing. But anyway, in Oshawa, of course, they had a big high ceiling. So he threw it down there, and Mike was it was a
So he made the save.
Yep.
And immediately.
That's right.
He heaves it down.
Exactly.
And Mike was still down, just getting
He
up.
was picking up. Yeah, he was way behind the play, so he had a complete breakaway.
Wow.
And if you ever saw Mike, he was the best faker that you could ever have. He would fake like more than 4 or 5 times, and he knew where he was going to put it. So so that put us into play Ajax. Into play Hamilton beat Ajax. And now we hadn't beat Hamilton in the season 2 times. We lost to them.
Yeah.
And they had a good, solid
What were the
team.
scores like the first 2 times you played them?
They beat us, usually by 3 or 4 goals at least.
Okay, but that's not terrible.
No, they didn't kill us.
Yeah.
But we just couldn't. Their checking was like unbelievable.
Okay.
So anyway, of course, we had to sleep overnight because the next game was the championship game. Well, I'm telling you, our team came out. We had a 5-0 lead after the first period against Hamilton, who had.
Wow.
Now they had to travel there.
Oh, okay.
And we stayed overnight in the hotel.
You had an edge that way.
We had an edge that way. Yeah. On the other hand, the kids, are sleeping in strange beds. Because we drove up for the first game. Like we drove to play Whitby. Like we didn't stay at the Friday night. The Saturday we had to drive, and then we played the game in the afternoon. Whereas, but Whitby had their bags packed. Everybody thought Whitby's going to win. And they did win the Founders Cup the next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's. You talked a bit about Mike French, and obviously Mike went on to be one of the greatest players in the NCAA and led Cornell to national championships and was captain of the team that pulled off the miracle in Manchester, England, and beat the U.S. So, Mike was as good as he gets on your team.
Yeah.
What were some of the other players that you had playing for you that really stood out in your mind?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I had 3 lines of 5. And they were the 5 that stick together. That's how we coached. We didn't have this 5 defense, 5 forward, all this kind of stuff. And there was no transition players and all that. It was 5, 5, and 5. I took a playbook out of Jim Bishop's. I watched Jim Bishop play, go. And it was get back and recoil, and you're always back. Very little forechecking.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So you get back, you set up, sticks up,
and
then you go. And it was always, you knew exactly, they knew exactly, if a player, it was always the same 5. The defensemen, if you called them that, were always the same ones with the same 3.
Yeah.
Never, nothing of switching around. And then when they went off, it was that player knew exactly which player they had to watch.
Yeah. And
when they come in to the box. So that was the player that came, so that was a big thing. We had so many fast breaks. That, and of course, going back to the players, Willie Plett, of course, was, by that time, nobody could beat him one-on-one. We had all kinds of plays so that we would isolate them because, most teams played man-on-man, and or even a form of a zone a bit, because of our team. But, we would isolate Willie, and then he'd come across from the side. And there was nobody that could stop him.
So you created space for him.
Exactly.
And then he was a bull.
Oh, yeah, because he was so strong and everything. Yeah. So then we had, of course, Joji Ingeman was the center of the second line. Okay, so Mike French was the center of the first line.
Okay.
And he could switch hands. He had it all. And then Joji, who had played so many years for the Spartans, and he could win 90% of the draws as well.
Okay.
And his wingers were extremely fast, and so they assumed that he's going to win the draw.
Okay.
And so they were gone.
Yeah.
So soon as the draw, we had a lot more draws at that time. They didn't hand the balls the way they do today.
Yeah.
So it was a big thing. Possession is huge, but the fast break was unbelievable that, soon Joji, he could get the ball and the guys were gone and he'd throw it up to them and it was 2-0 lots of times.
So you had French, Agaman, and Plett. And
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we had this player, native. He was playing senior, 16 years old, but by when we got him 17, and his name was Steve Miller, and he played for the Niagara Falls Hawks or something like that. They played in the North American Indian or League or something like that, down in Syracuse and all
Was
that
he
kind of stuff.
Tuscarora?
Yeah.
Well, he was Tuscarora.
He was.
Okay.
His parents lived right on in Tuscarora.
Okay.
Yeah, right on the reservation.
Okay.
And his nickname was Slugger. So anyway, we talked to him. Do you want to, come out for a junior team? The junior team, and he wanted to. So, and he was a great guy, and he was the center on the third line.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now he wasn't fast, but he could shoot the ball like. I don't know if I put it in there, but in practice, he broke a ball in half with the shot on the post. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like his sidearm, underhand, all those kind of things. Like nobody could shoot harder than him. So anyway, we had him, and then we had actually 3 natives on the team. Another player that played actually in Ithaca for the field lacrosse. I think his name was Gary Hill.
Gary Hill.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so he was very, very smart player. Played
at Ithaca College.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So well, we had Norm Hope was a really a local boy, very good, accurate shooter. So on the power play, your shooting spots, you had the 2, and he could pick a goalie, and it was always different. You know what I mean? He mixed his shots around. And so, the idea was he was the number 1 shooter for that position.
It sounds like you're pretty well balanced across the 3 lines.
Yes.
So that didn't give the other team a break, really.
No.
No matter who was in, could generate offense.
That's right.
That kind of thing. So that's the makings of a championship team right there.
And I took a page out of Jim Bishop's book too. I had a folder.
Yeah.
And I changed fast.
Yeah.
I didn't believe in them staying on long, and I always rolled the lines. I didn't cheat. And when I wanted to change, bang, bang, bang on the boards with my book.
Oh, okay.
And they knew that change. You know what I mean?
At that time, was there a 30-second clock in the game?
No, there wasn't.
Or was it?
There wasn't until 74, I believe they brought it in.
Okay. So. But you didn't. You probably would have been fine with a 30-second clock because of the way you operated, or did you want ball control?
No. Mostly fast break.
Right.
I mean, the picking and all that kind of stuff. It is very hard to score on a lot of these teams. It's just like today.
Yeah.
There's. I mean, you can throw it around. There's cut in the middle, and there's a lot of picking and all that. That's how you get your shots. But once the team's back there, it's the fast break is the
way to
was
do
the
it.
big thing.
Okay. Okay. All right. So you stunned the lacrosse world by winning the Ontario Games, and you come back to regular season, I guess.
We had to play a few games in that time. Of course, they only allowed, I believe it was 15 players. They didn't allow the full team, and we had like 20 players on the team. You know what I mean? I think they only allowed 15 and 2 goalies, 17, and I think we had 3 other players that were more like sub players. For the most part, they filled in if somebody got hurt or whatever. Yeah. Well, we had to pay for those players to go because that was our club's responsibility.
To go to where?
To go to BC. After winning.
Okay, so you came back, played regular season.
Yeah, we had to play regular season, and we had a big dance, a fundraiser, and we had donations. We knew we were going to go to BC,
BC was the national championship?
Correct, that was the Canada Games.
Oh, Canada Games.
Canada Games.
Okay, so
and together with the Canada Games came the Founders Cup.
Oh, it was attached.
Because the Founders Cups for every year for the Junior B Championship.
Yes.
These were all for the Junior Bs for across Canada.
So they
for the
doubled
Canada
up
Games.
the meaning of the Canada Games was
That's correct.
Twofold.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you went out there. Did anyone else from Ontario go with you, or just one Ontario team? Just,
One Ontario team.
Okay, and you were it.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
and how did you fundraise to get everybody?
Well,
out
we
there?
had you know, a dance, and then we solicited, you know, like we had programs, you know, that have lots of advertisements, and they're all local. Local. We solicit them every year. They're all local companies, you know, and stuff. They kicked in, and a lot of other people that just because we were going, you know, they had, you know, they were fans or whatever. We had donations, like because we, you know, we had to pay for accommodation for those 3 players.
Right.
Yeah, and we you know, we had to pay for their flights. So, you know,
This was a big deal.
yeah.
To
Now
the area.
Yeah. So you know, we knew we were going for a few, and we had to play some games, of course, before we left.
Yeah, which was good, probably.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. Yeah,
Yeah.
to keep it going.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, the team basically, you know, we won the Ontario Games and the gold medal for the Ontario Games and then the Canada Games. So the Ontario Games medal was this one.
Very nice. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Now I don't have a Canada Games medal because they didn't give it to the coaches.
Oh, okay. So where do you, when you got out to BC?
Yeah.
Where were the places that you played out there? Was it one site or was it various sites?
No, it was right at New Westminster.
Queen's Park Arena, the wood floor.
I don't know. It's a huge arena.
It's got to be Queen's Park Arena.
Could be. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
Yeah, it was.
But that's the home of the salmon bellies.
Yeah, I would think.
yeah.
Yeah. And then of course they put us up, and I believe it's the University of British Columbia or something.
Okay, that's where you stayed.
Was that in New Westminster? It was very close.
No, it was a little further away.
You know I'm not sure, but it was we were in the dorms like of the you know, of the school, of the university.
But you played in New
all the
West.
athletes.
If you played in New West, you must have played in Queen's Park Arena.
I guess.
That was that's the holy ground for the game. Salmon bellies. And, over the years. So what happened in Canada Games? Like, you remember?
Yeah.
What happened there?
Well, you know, this was a new thing, and I told the kids, you know, you know, we can go and have a good time and fool around and all that kind of stuff, or we can go to win, you know. And I said we were part of the closing ceremony, and we did have like a day or two at the end, a day and a half or so. I said that's when you can party. Now remember, you know, we had a couple of 21-year-olds.
Yeah, they were of age.
Yeah, exactly. Well, even some of the other ones were of age. You know, they weren't supposed to be, but. So, you know, I didn't have a problem with the team. They policed themselves. Joji was a really excellent captain.
Was he? Okay.
For that, and we, you know, we were on a mission to win, and so I believe we had to play Manitoba or something like that in the very beginning. Manitoba, then Quebec and Alberta or something. But anyway, we had to play. Which they were, you know, they were secondary kind of teams.
Yes, yeah, the level they
so
were
then
at.
we had to play in a round robin Nova Scotia. And Nova Scotia imported some players from Cornwall onto their team.
Oh.
And they were junior A players.
So they were better than
they were
you
good.
would have thought.
They were good, yeah. There was, I think, 3 of them. So, but they had done it legally. You know, they had imported them the year before or something, I guess. Whatever.
In anticipation of...
Yeah, for the Canada Games. Yeah, they knew they were going, right? And I'm not sure if Nova Scotia, probably they were like an all-star team.
Right.
You know, we were a club team.
Yeah.
So anyway, we just managed to beat them. I think it was 7-6.
Wow.
Yeah. So that put us in the top part of that round division of the 2 divisions. BC was in the other division.
Okay.
So BC had to play Nova Scotia, you know, in ours when we crossed over, and Nova Scotia beat them.
Wow.
So, and BC had a good team.
Yeah.
And BC always has a good team.
Always have a good team.
Yeah, and I can't remember the club name of the team.
Yeah.
However, So we had to play. Nova Scotia in the final, which we had only beaten 7-6. And so what happened in the previous game? I'm trying to remember. I think it was Quebec we had to beat, or no, it wasn't Quebec. Alberta, probably. Alberta,
probably.
Yeah. So we beat, and in the course of that game, Joji got hit right in the eyeball with the ball.
Oh boy!
Straight, right in his eyeball. He ended up in the hospital because he had hemorrhaging.
Oh boy! Yeah.
So he couldn't play that final game. My speech was, "Let's win this game for Joji."
Okay.
You know, and our province and home. You know, and we came out and we played a better game against, and we knew what they were going to do and everything else. Then, you know.
Yeah.
And so we keyed on, a couple of the players. You know, that's what you have to do too, of course.
Yeah.
You know, you
minimize the damage they do against you.
You got it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right.
So and we won the championship. So it was so exciting.
So that was a big deal.
It was.
You had a couple days out there afterwards.
For the closing ceremonies, we were part of that. And
the players must have been on cloud nine at that point after winning Ontario's and winning.
Yes, they were. Yeah. They wanted to go to Wreck Beach, and they went up the mountain.
And then you knew you had something more to do, right?
Yeah, we had to come back and play for the All Ontario Championships.
Right.
And of course, at that time, actually, Mike French had got into Cornell.
Right. That was his freshman year? Or?
Probably. And I'm not sure, they require a lot when you go to university. They'd expect a lot.
That would be his freshman year, as I think back on that. Yeah.
And so midweek games, he couldn't play. Yeah. He had to come for the weekend games. So we had a very hard time just even winning in our division. I think
Mike made that big a difference, and was Joji be able to play?
Oh, Joji played after, yeah.
So he was able to play after, so he was back.
Yeah,
Right. Okay.
Joji was back, that was fine, but we still had to play without Mike. And that was, that certainly hurt us a lot. And of course we were fatigued somewhat from the trip and all the hoopla and everything. And it would have been really easy to lose out. And these other teams were on fire, and
you were you had a big targets on all your backs.
Exactly.
After doing that.
Yeah, and they double teamed Willie and everything else. Oakville gave us seven games, but Mike came back for the seventh game.
Oh gosh.
He was able to make maybe 3 games out of the 7. So
wow.
I think so. And then I don't like to say it, but actually we paid players for 1 game. We made an initiative of every goal being $5 or every assist being $5. And it was.
Did that work?
It worked on Willie Plett.
Willie?
He came out and he
was going to be a pro.
He got
anyways.
like seven points or something in the game.
That was big money back then. Huh?
Yeah. And lit the fire under them. We had no mic then. That was a game, no mic.
Oh, okay.
And Stan said, if we go back, we'll make a lot of money, so we can easily afford it, And I forget what it costs, a couple $100, right? But anyway, we blew out. I forget which team it was. That I think it might have even been before Oakville. The first round.
Okay.
And so anyway, then of course then with that classify, that we had to play, and guess who wins the other side?
Whitby. God, you guys must have hated each other.
Jim Brady. Yeah. So now we got to play a 7-game series with Whitby.
Where did you play that?
Well, back and forth.
Back and forth.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we got up to Whitby, and boy, they hated us.
Oh yeah.
They hated us big time. They rocked our bus. Our fans, they ripped the things out of our horns right out of their mouths. The fans were like crazy.
Really?
Yeah, but we did beat them. Well, we had a school bus. They had a Greyhound, when they came down.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and they had a good team.
Who was on their team?
The Reeds and there was a couple of Reeds I think on there. They had some really good players that went on and played Junior A and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
The only thing is their goaltending wasn't as good as ours.
Which makes a difference.
Huge.
All the time.
Exactly.
In hockey and lacrosse.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yep. So your goalie was a superior goalie, and that's an edge.
Yeah.
And when
And
you had everybody there, you had Plett, French,
Yeah.
Engelman, and
Yeah, when everybody was there, it was good.
And some
Yeah.
Hill and a few, it was,
Yeah.
So
Johnny Weens, and yeah, I can go out. You know,
Yeah.
I have a description of all of them because
Yeah.
the old boys here recognized our team after 40 years, and next year will be 50 years.
Okay.
And we've lost 5 people have passed away on
From
that team. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what happened? Did you go full 7 games?
No, we beat them out in 6.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's saying something.
Yeah.
You know, because
Yeah.
of the way they were geared up for you.
Oh, yeah.
And how tired your guys must have been.
Yeah.
But mentally strong.
Yeah.
But tired.
And we were
physically.
right into September.
But at that
time.
point, it's a long season.
Yeah.
And,
It was
and
a lot of games.
of miles under the belt.
A lot of games.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And what happened when you won?
I think we won at home. I
Yeah.
think we won at home.
Oh,
So
you
yeah,
did.
they
So
would
you
have
won
got
at home.
They would have got the 7th game
Yeah.
at their So that's how it would have went.
So you won at home, and was it a big crowd? For
Oh
the fun?
yeah, we were getting really we were.
And
getting
what was a big crowd?
over
1,400?
No, we never got as big as Pete's team. I don't know why, but we certainly got good coverage. The papers, and that. But we were getting over 1,000 for those
nice
games.
healthy crowd. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
Oh yeah.
And
Good
so
game.
you win the game. Was there a celebration in the community at some
Yeah,
point?
yeah, and the town recognized us. They had dinner like where everybody was invited,
okay.
and all that kind of stuff.
In
But the-
Niagara-on-the-Lake.
Yeah, the people had to pay, to come to
Yeah.
it. It was packed,
Wow.
yeah.
These things don't happen all the time.
No.
And it didn't happen again.
It didn't.
This
No.
was
Yeah.
that moment in time where
Yeah.
everything works.
Yeah, it just peaked at the right time.
The right people
Yeah.
were there.
Yeah.
And,
The next year we lost Mike French and we lost Joe Jiggum and Norm Hope. So if you say top 6, we probably lost a couple of them. If you were talking top
and
6.
it starts to erode the
Yeah.
structure a bit.
And what we did, we went on a tour. It was sort of like I don't know, celebration tour the next year. And so
people didn't want you to celebrate at their
well,
arena.
no, but what it did really is, unfortunately, it took a lot out of us. It was worse than the year before, in that we played junior C teams.
Oh, okay.
So we thought it was goodwill, and it was good, and it was a lot of fun. We played Ottawa, Cornwall, Montreal, and Kingston.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
And Kingston brought in, and we won the first 3, but then we were on the very end of our thing. And of course, we camped when we did it,
Yeah.
And of course, there was some drinking. We tried to keep it away and all that. We didn't have Joji to police it, so it was good. But unfortunately, it hurt us in the fact that I think it was only a few games left before the end of the season. We had it was in a short period of time. You had to get a break in there. Then we had to come back and play, and we were tired out, and then we had to go in the playoffs. Or no, we never even made the playoffs. I think I can't remember now how that went.
The focus from the year before had disappeared. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's natural, It's,
Yeah. And even with
especially
Willie,
when you upset great teams
Yeah.
to win something, it's
Yeah.
hard to keep that up
Yeah, exactly.
year after year.
Yeah.
So that was a great moment for Niagara-on-the-Lacrosse Junior B. And
Right.
what happened with the franchise and you, following that?
Yeah.
Where
I, of course, I stepped down from coaching. I was married and I didn't have children for a few years, but my wife was putting a lot of pressure on me and all that. So I took a lot of, because I was 100% in there. When you coach, you put everything into it.
Yes, yeah.
If you want to do,
you can't
if you
be
want
in
to,
halfway.
no, and you gotta, you have to put a lot of time and effort into it. And Stan went to play pro, and he wanted out because he wasn't going to be around. He was in Boston by that time.
Yeah, 74 and 75, the Pro League.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, he wanted out, and so I continued. What happened is that we thought, and I don't know, I think we're encouraged by Niagara Falls to go to Niagara Falls Memorial Arena to play our season. So we took a 1-year bye, like a leave of absence, just to try it.
Yeah.
And the crowds never, we didn't get.
It didn't work out.
Didn't work out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that was maybe in '75 that we tried that. So then we went back to Niagara, and I was managing in that time, and we went through a few different coaches, but eventually there was basically 3 players that, and one of them was on this team that said, we'll take over the team. And so they took the $250 bond, and Stan got his $125 back. I got my
There you go.
$125 back, and they kept the team going.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I think they maybe ended up to change it to Thunderhawks, at that time. Or no, I don't think it was then. No, it wasn't then. Sorry.
It was later, huh?
It was later. So what happened then? They had it for years, and then Spartans took it over. And then what happened in '81? They had no junior A team, I believe, or something, and they had like probably 90% of the players came from St. Catharines and played out of Niagara, and they won the Founders Cup in '81. So, but that only lasted for 1 year, and then the Spartans took over, I believe, or before that. Anyway, then a new group come in, which actually was also another player off this team here, and they called it the Thunderhawks. Now the minor system in Niagara-On-The-Lake is the Thunderhawks.
Okay.
Before it was the Warriors.
Okay. Okay.
And that was Super Test Warriors, that we carried on. And this is a pin, I don't know if you can see it, Niagara Warriors team. And this is the Ontario Games pin, and this is the Canada Games pin.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to ask you about a couple of artifacts you brought. That stick, tell us how that fits in.
Yeah, so Stan played in Brantford, and he played on Six Nations, and he knew the Pauluses really well and all that kind of stuff. Well, anyway, this is an Enos Williams special, handmade in Ohsweken, Ontario, and it's dated. So somewhere as I read a bio of Enos, I think I went on Google or something, and he dated it, and I go, I wonder if this stick has it, and it is March the 3rd, 1973, I think. So this is a stick that we used to supply the sticks for all the players.
For the junior
B.
Okay.
But they had to supply their other equipment, right? And the sweaters.
So the sticks were your contribution.
Yeah, and they were like $20 a piece, I think.
Yeah.
And you can see this one is a wooden handle, and you can see how strong it is, and you can see how it's been bent, because you would have checked like this.
Yeah, it'd be hickory.
Yeah. And but bend but not break,
Right.
And this is just one that was, I don't know, I had left over. There's a couple of broken strings, but.
Very nice.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is when I was a coach in, so this is Niagara District Lacrosse Association.
Okay.
So, and this is
67.
and this is when I played the midget B when I played against the secondary players of the other teams.
Okay.
63.
Yeah,
so 63. That's when I played. This is name tag for the Canada Games.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah. This
is that you?
Yeah, that's me.
Look at your hair.
I had the afro. Yeah.
Monty.
Yeah, natural afro. Lots of curls.
There you go.
They're all straightened out. And this is, you had to wear this like this is what your ID.
Yeah.
And this was for the Ontario Games.
Okay.
That one. So then these are a couple of
your programs.
Programs for. The 74 and 75
Yeah.
after we won.
Yeah.
And then So this is a picture of the team after we Whitby.
That's the 73
Yeah,
team.
73 team
Wow.
after we. Yeah, this is our sweaters here.
Wow.
This is the Ontario supplied sweaters for Ontario when we went
yeah.
there, and they were red and white. You know, our sweaters were orange
Okay.
sweaters, orange and white, and we played with orange balls.
Yeah.
You know, during our season, we always played with. We had an orange team. We played with orange balls. We always wanted to have orange balls.
Is that right?
Yeah.
It's funny, like I can pick, even though my eyes aren't good, I can pick Mike French out on
Yeah.
those pictures like that.
Yeah.
you know?
Well, he had long hair.
And his hair color,
Yeah.
right? You know?
Oh, blondie.
Blondie
Yeah.
red. Blondish
Yeah.
red.
Yeah.
Right? You know,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
You know, so
This is just a certificate of participation. This is for the Canada Games.
okay. Yeah.
That's that.
Yep.
And then, okay, after we got invited, by the province, Honorable William G. Davis,
This is
Premier.
after you won Canada
This is
Game?
after we won, and
Yeah.
I guess it was, it wasn't until May of '74 though that they had us come because of, well, Ontario I think won the Canada Games too, you know, like with all the points, like all the teams,
Okay.
you know, that type of thing. So, and we were part of contributing to that, of course, with our win. So anyway, they give Stan and I, you know, a certificate of award
Stan-
from Stan Ignatzik.
Ignatzik.
Yeah,
Okay.
and he was the manager,
Okay.
you know, of the team.
Yep.
I just wanted to
Yeah.
also show you, and I don't know whether it really means anything, but when Stan and I took over the team, you know, we made a budget.
Huh.
This is the budget.
Yeah, that doesn't look like Excel.
No, there wasn't any Excels then, or cell phones or anything. So yeah, we
So
projected.
what was the budget? Like, yeah. just
Yeah, we
read out-
projected a budget actually of 450 loss. You know,
Okay.
we were prepared for
So
that.
how much money were you going to bring in? How much money were you going to spend?
Well,
according to the
we had to pay, I think it was 20% gate, no, 15% of the gate to the arena, part of the agreement.
for the season.
Yeah, for the season. So that was 300. And then we had rental. We had to pay $3 an hour for the rental
Oh God.
of the arena. Yeah.
So okay, so what was the revenue on there, and what was the expense? Like,
Well, this is a
Total
budget,
revenue,
so I'm
yeah.
not sure of the actual.
yeah.
You know,
No,
but
that's okay.
you know, we figured about $2,900. Okay, so we had program ads. You know, the
Yeah.
ads from the
That
thing
was
of
revenue?
$800. Yeah. Gate receipts of 2,000. We figured, and program sales. So
Yeah.
we sold the programs for $100. So that was our revenue.
$2,900.
And then we had, of course, balls, lacrosse sticks, 400. So we had 20 sticks at $20 a piece.
Now you can get one beautifully made wood stick for $400.
Whoa,
That's
is that right?
Alfie Jacks from Onondaga.
Is that right?
It's
eh?
close to 400. Yeah.
I didn't want. Surprising there'd be somebody still making them because you know the other
Oh
ones
yeah.
are so.
No, there's a number of stick makers.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, I like to donate this one to the hall if
Yeah.
they'd like to have it.
Yeah.
Bus transportation, of course, was high, $900.
For the whole season.
Yeah, yeah. But our biggest one for, I don't know. This was '72. And we went over that. Of course, we had a lot more fans in '73. You know, like
Oh yeah.
not until we started qualifying and everything. But you know.
You finished up strong, and
Well, yeah. After we came back, and you know, we were celebrities. We were like Paul Henderson, and you know, because it was '72 that I think that he won.
Yeah.
You know, we won. They
Yeah.
won the thing. That's how we felt. That's how I felt.
yeah, you're underdogs, and you
Yeah.
pulled it off. And so your total expenses were like 3,300 or something. Or?
Yeah. So yeah, our total that's about 3350. That's what
Okay.
we had put in there, and then it said not included is the 250 for the bond. Yeah, and
So-
$35 for registration was all we had to pay for the OLA.
So that the 3,500 or whatever roughly, that would barely cover one player's summer season.
now.
You know, for the different things that they do.
Well,
Whether it's,
yeah.
You know, camps or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, things.
Yeah.
If it would cover.
Yeah.
You know, it's just amazing to see
Well, my
what you're
grandson,
able to do. You know?
my grandson plays in Ottawa, and he was on the they're a midget A, well, under 17 or whatever,
Yeah.
right? I don't know if it's under 16. He was 16, so, and they made all Ontario finals with 6 teams.
Wow.
But they didn't do too well there. But they were competitive,
made it, though,
and they beat Oshawa midgets. They were only team to beat Oshawa.
Okay, so
all
that was
season.
that was
Oshawa beat Orangeville in the final. Orangeville was good.
Yeah.
They did meet Orangeville, but they
They
anyway.
were able to upset.
Yeah, 6 nations were in there, and
Yeah, so they played some great teams.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, well, Monty, is there anything else you want to say about the game? I know you coached like for a year or two later on, and
Yeah.
you know you must have been needed probably, and you came back to do it. Was that how it happened, or?
Well, you know, I did play some senior lacrosse,
Yeah.
but it was only intramural. You know, I still went out and watched the games, and you know, it's a great game. I associated with a lot of people that I had played with, and you know, and it's just a great sport. It's just a super sport, and I don't know, you know, that it should be bigger, but it's growing again. I think this COVID really took a lot out of it.
Yeah, yeah.
But because it was a summer sport, it was worse, you know. And for my grandson, I would feel sorry, you know, how things have gone. But
That things got interrupted.
yeah.
What, you know, just for the record, what were some other highlights in your life?
We started lacrosse, you know, at basically this team, the first team was in 62, I think it is. And by 70, you know, well, even before that, we had a B caliber all Ontario, you know, play in the final within 10 years.
Yeah.
And then winning everything, you know, with this team in like 11 years or something from the beginning, you know, and with probably around 80, maybe, you know, to 100 registration of minors eventually,
Yeah.
you know. So, you know, it just showing that a little center could, you know,
Yeah.
can go a long way, you know, with
Yeah.
work. So, yeah. So, and as far as my other, you know, thing that I'm proud of is that, as you can see, the Kinsmen. So this is the Niagara Kinsmen Warriors, right?
Okay.
So the Kinsmen, Stan and I, and Stan is deceased when he was 55. It's got to be at least 10 years ago. And no, it'd be more than that, 20 years ago. So we started, we were part of the charter members of the Kinsmen Club of Niagara-On-The-Lake. And I'm still a member of that service group. And it's been going on 52 or 3 years.
Wow.
That I've been a member of and I'm the only one left from the original club.
Wow.
And it's still going quite well in Niagara-On-The-Lake.
Yeah.
So, and we sponsored the team. We sponsored lacrosse, the Thunderhawks. We always had a sweater. All lacrosse, all the minor, you know, the Kinsmen always sponsored the minor team. So, I'm pretty proud of the fact that you know, that I'm charter member and still kicking. You know.
Yeah. Well, very, very good, Monty. It was a pleasure to speak with you today and learn a bit about you know, magical season in your life with the game.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.